Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comics de la Morte, episode 76, Unconventional Horror, with a new guest for the first time, Jim Lujan.
Hello, that was the scariest intro of my name I've ever seen in my life.
I love it.
You're frightening me.
Yeah.
It's the guest star hands that
Right,
really,
right.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like, let me
really
out.
gives it to you.
It's like, sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me.
I feel like the Smashing Pumpkins were saying, let
Right.
me out.
Right? Yeah. Before
Oh
we
my
get into the
goodness, that's
topic,
too funny.
I'm going to let Fogbreaker Studios Jason promote because he hasn't been on the show for a while.
No, but it's still me. What's up, Gary? How's it going, man? Fallbreaker Studios, Instagram, TikTok, should be YouTube, but I'm really, really slack at YouTube running. I don't know why, but Instagram is starting to kick up again because I got a few mini comics that I'm working on. I'm working on a bigger project that I guess that's pretty much all I want to say about my bigger project. I want to release it on Instagram because I've done it the most there. But there'll be some horror mini comics coming. There will be a long form comic coming finally. It's not ransom notes, and it feels good like to write horror off the base of the, like I love it. Ransom Notes was personal, and Ransom Notes is available on my Etsy. I don't know if I have a banner up for the Etsy.
I do. I already set it up for you.
That is awesome, man. I appreciate that because
not a problem.
I'm so scattered on Thursday nights, y'all. Like, work has gotten a little bit silly, but if you want to read stuff that's already completed that I have out that does have some horror in it, check out minicomicbundles.com. It still exists. It's still really, really good. And it has a kung fu story in it, Ronnie, that I'm really, really proud of.
Awesome.
So, minicomicbundles.com, Fallbreaker Studios, anywhere you find me, unless it goes from scary to creepy, that's probably not me. But if it's scary and it's got Fallbreaker Studios on it, or if I'm talking shit about the Jehovah's Witnesses, that's probably me. That's probably accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
of course,
Fallbreaker Studios. That's all I got to say about that.
And of course, people, I'm thinking about late July, early September, the next episode's coming out.
Oh, sounds good, man.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be good. I've seen little bits and pieces. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm hopefully the way it's going, I'm planning to get, the actual book published by the end of the year. That's the big plan. So,
that's
can't wait
awesome.
for that.
Let's go, man. Check out the tapas, though, for real.
Yeah. And with Jim, I got his Instagram, his YouTube, especially his YouTube. He makes great animation. We'll let him talk about that. I even got his Society 6 down there to sell his products.
Wow.
So,
awesome.
All right. So, Jim, before we get into the topic, let everybody know more about you besides what I have in the description there.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Not a problem.
It's very excellent of you guys. Thank you. And also, I have an exclusive. I actually have Jason's secret project that he's working on. It's actually a chick track.
Yes, you got it.
It's going to be a bloody slasher version of Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
So
I love it.
It's coming out this summer. If you'd like to see it.
Oh, my goodness.
Just go to any local place that has chick tracks and you'll find Jason.
Yeah, I remember people be giving that to like little kids. Like, here's a little comic to tell you about Jesus.
All over the mall.
And look what they did to us. It created a monster. So yes, thank you for having me.
Not a problem.
So I'm Jim Lujan. I'm an animator. I've been doing animation for 95 years now. I don't know, since the early 2000s, late 90s. Played festivals. My stuff's been on some TV. I've done bumpers for Adult Swim.
That's awesome.
Had a movie out with Bill Plimpton. What else? I created Star Wars.
See, there's so much to talk
just
about.
A lot of stuff.
Because
Yes.
there's just so much to talk about. Because,
my rap name is Kanye.
Kanye.
So there's a lot.
You might have heard of
unpack. There's a lot to unpack here.
I get it.
But I do stuff that's mostly, in my mind, humorous, and also I'm very proud to say that my type of humor, which will be obvious to your viewers, does not really have punchlines. It's just absurd and silly and
so sometimes I find that I write horror that same way. Like it doesn't really end happy. It just ends.
Yeah, well,
hey, Frank.
There's Frank, and thank you, Frank. You'll probably like my other property I'm working on called Stranger Things. It's coming out pretty soon.
Wow, look at this.
Here's a little name drop. I have a good name drop for you. Matthew Modine, who plays the father in Stranger Things, the guy with the white hair, was in Revengeance, in my film Revengeance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I personally recorded him at my friend's house, and he is the nicest guy. And his daughter Ruby is also amazing. She's super, super sweet. So I can testify he raises really good kids. He's a good guy, and he's funny as hell. Great sense of humor. So that's it. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about because I know Jason knows. Before I really develop the show and do horror, I was a fan of animation and I went to school for theater arts. So I always appreciate anyone that does animation. And, I go crazy over voice actors more than I do regular actors, just because I know how hard it is to be in a booth and to give like the same line, but in different ways. Yeah. So it's just a great appreciation.
Yeah. It's a whole different level of
most voice actors can sing because it's like singing. You're trying to change your voice. So, I believe it too. It's not more about just doing voices. It's about trying to do acting with that voice. So
I love it. And voice actors are really, really some of the smartest people in the world. Yes. And I say that because I'm trying to impress my voice actors that do voices for me. Yeah. They're beautiful. No, but they really, I mean, it just depends. I guess it's like any other kind of actor. The only difference between voice actors and actors is the level of craziness. Yeah. So an actor probably has a higher level of craziness, in their everyday life. Whereas a voice actor is like, let's just get the job done. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do it. And I'm really blessed to be working with the people that I've worked with. That's the Charlie Rossmans, the Tom Racines, Lisa Copenhaver, the Deacon Burns, the Matthew Warrens, the Mike Perez's, Neeson, all of them. There's tons of them. Jane Dope. List goes on and on. Gary Hodges. Had to throw him out there. Yeah, Gary Hodges. Yeah. Well, there's always the exception, but
That's cool.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
Hey, so I gotta spoil the song running.
Yeah,
I'm gonna turn my camera off because I gotta let the dog out. So
that's fine.
Alert.
Now we know. Now we know who.
Yeah, it's over. Mystery's over. It was me.
All right.
I'll be right back, y'all.
All right. So yeah, like when you sent me those 2 videos about the horror related stuff, I really enjoyed those. Like one person mentioned on one of the comments, it had like that like Outer Limits, Twilight Zone to it, and like the episodes out there, but your first one, like with the whole lizard people and everything,
Infinity Pool, the Infinity Pool. You liked that one. I liked a lot because I thought of, oh man, I'm a butcher. I had it on the tip of my head. It thought of Z. Is that Z? Yeah. Or V.
Yeah, V. Just because, V. Just because that was a great episode and was pretty much about lizard people.
Yeah, I was influenced by that as a child. Yeah.
And then
Jim, I'm sorry you can't see me. I'm sorry, Ryan. I know you can't see me, so I'm not trying to cut you off.
Sorry.
I totally knew that you would get what I was doing and a lot of the things I was writing with that episode. I totally knew it was so good. It made so much sense to me.
And people don't know this, but Jason's actually transforming into a lizard right now off camera. That's why he turned.
I just gotta cool off for a second. I gotta sit on my heat rock for a minute.
Yeah, so let those scales go, man.
But yeah, it was just a really great, storyline. The animation was good, and then the twist at the end. It even reminded me of like going into unconventional horror. It was more of a sci-fi comedy, but when I saw that, I also thought of They Live.
Yeah, that's a good
classic.
One, yeah.
I mean, and that's unconventional. I mean, it doesn't really have like, horror. It has horror elements in it, but think about it. You have these aliens that are hiding from you, and then you have all these signs that when you really look at them, they're just telling you to like consume, buy, and all that stuff. And like you said that you're not really big into horror, but what made you want to make these two animations?
Besides mental problems, I just
all artists do.
Yeah, that's true. That's a given. I think it was just an element of the story kind of unfolding into itself. Okay. So it wasn't like I sat down and said, I want to tell a scary story. It's not, to me, it's more macabre or creepy than it is actually super scary, but it's got an atmosphere of creepiness to it.
Yeah.
And then of course it's a bedrock of humor that it sits on. And it's that type of humor is more exaggerated humor than it is like, traditional cartoon animation humor. I wanted to tell a story with the lizard people. I think they're underrepresented.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that believe that there's real lizard people.
Who am I to say? But
it's the scariest version of reality, right? Like that your otherworldly enemy is like right there, and it's not like another person. Like that's not what I'm saying. Like, but like an actual like different being.
Yeah, they're not the Goombas from Super Mario Brothers.
Right. It's like our version of like I imagine that's what it would be like to live in a world with vampires.
Yeah,
like.
What's really weird is like in Jason's talking and he's going vampires. I hear strange sounds coming in.
Right.
If you come back on camera and you have a different outfit, I'm going to be very scared. Okay, just saying. I'll still do the interview, but I will be scared.
Right. I got you.
Yeah. When you look at it, there's really, I mean, that whole conspiracy theories too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you. You know what? You just reminded me. I'll tell you what.
Because I know I mentioned about we should talk about that definitely.
Exactly.
Because it's related to the infinity pool. It's a whole conspiracy.
I love conspiracy stuff. I think it's great. But a big factor in infinity pool, because the world that's set in is kind of like the behind the scenes affluent, sort of the Hollywood crowd.
Yeah.
In the Hollywood Hills, but behind what goes on behind closed doors at those parties. And a big influence was my wife and I went to Hearst Castle. And it was like, it is like a Disneyland for billionaires pervs. It is, it's awesome. It's incredible. I had so much fun just walking around and just thinking.
And your wife is making sure that you're not eyeing anyone.
No, No, the good thing, they're just ghosts there now.
Right.
But no, so it wasn't like we went to a party at Hearst Castle, which would actually be very cool. But that place has so much history and so much. There's probably a lot of debauchery that went on in there, and then high level debauchery, like the richest of the rich, and what they talked about behind closed doors. So it definitely gave me a fun Illuminati vibe. And I kind of wanted to riff on that. I kind of wanted to, play with that. And plus nobody's really like, I mean, like, again, lizard people are just really underrepresented these days.
Yeah.
So we gotta change that. I mean, make America green again. So
I love it.
That's what I say.
Yeah. That's what they would say also.
Yeah, they, not me. I mean, they. That's what I meant. I meant that.
Right. That's funny. But you got, before we go into the next one, the next movie, do you have anything to talk about, Jason?
Did you watch? They Live is one of my all-time favorite movies in general, but it's totally my kind of horror, right? Like that is like, that's what you and your friends sit around and talk about when you're just kind of like riffing at night. Is what if, and then it starts to make sense. And I think that John Carpenter like captured that moment of like the conversation going off the rails, but like even in 2022 having a lot of valid points, that it's just very sadly prophetic, and it always made sense to me because of what I grew up believing. So it's not horror, but it's my kind of horror.
Gotcha. Yeah. But that's the great thing about horror that I always say. I mean, there's always some type of horror for everyone. Just like, this.
Eggs.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really great quote, by the way.
Like eggs?
There's always a horror for someone.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
you're totally right.
I mean,
though.
especially
Something
if anybody wants
to everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
Undertaker was scared of pickles.
Yeah. You could write any type of story. Like if you want to like a action horror, you could do that. You want like a romance horror, you could do that.
Action horror, worst superhero ever.
Right? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Bad lizard. Bad lizard.
I wish I remembered the movie, but there was like it had horror elements to it. It was an 80s movie with Dolph Lundgren, and he had to go around stopping this like drug space dealer.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm talking about.
I would love to see that movie.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Right,
it's a cheesy B movie.
Yeah.
Well, unlike all those other movies.
Yeah. Right.
all the other movies not Rocky IV.
But you're
Rocky IV is close.
Right.
Yeah.
And the next one, I'm having brain farts here, but I really had to use that character, like the killer, as the thumbnail because I thought it was funny. Like you had a wolfman.
Oh, my film.
Yeah, you had a wolfman with a knife.
Lazarus.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is about a psychic, and there's a serial killer going around killing psychics. Yeah, that's a total horror theme right there. But done in my way. That was a series I turned into a film. Like I compiled it as a film.
Oh, okay. That's not awesome.
I dig it.
Yeah. But that's close. That's my version of a sort of a horror story.
Yeah. You got a pretty cool world, Jim. I dig it.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
No, yeah, for sure. So I seen that you don't have to talk more about it, but I seen on Instagram that you have a new thing in development too, and that kind of has some horror elements, like a horror vibe to it.
Yes, that's why when you called me about this, I'm like, this is perfect timing. Like I give you guys exclusives.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about it. I'll talk about it here. So my film that I'm working on right now is called The Night Eats Its Own, and takes place in Santa Barbara, modern times, and it's about this old film director / producer. I mean, literally old. He's in his probably 80s. That's married to a pretty young lady from Puerto Rico, and his adopted stepson named Ignacio, and another of his young actor friends, this hot, like Brad Pitt type dude, comes to visit, and all kinds of hijinks happens, and there's all kinds of mystery and possible rumors of werewolves and things like that. So it's total on paper. Sounds like a horror film, but it's going to have a lot of humor. Yeah,
nice.
It'll be really dark and funny.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So
really cool.
So when you pick this topic, what horror, like unconventional horror movies, like would you say is your favorite of all time? Or ones that really stuck out to you?
For sure. There's one that jumps right out to the front, and it's The Shining.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome movie. Yeah.
And here's an ashamed fact I will have to admit right here. I didn't see The Shining till about 6 years ago.
Okay.
I went my whole life without seeing the whole film.
He just recently saw John Carpenter's The Thing.
I just saw The Thing last year.
I won't comment because you'll turn off my feed because I have never sat down and watched the entire thing.
Oh, you gotta.
Hey, you've seen it.
I will. I will give you my word. I will do that. I know that's a classic.
Yeah,
I know. I wasted so much time not seeing it, but no,
Mm-hmm.
The Shining it's one of my all-time favorite stories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Huge Stanley Kubrick fan, and the creepiness of Kubrick is something I try to relay in my own work. But The Shining, again, it's not like I wasn't aware of The Shining. In fact, I think I'd seen half of it in my life.
Yeah.
But I sat down. We went to a special screening. It was like an anniversary screening. Boy. Yeah, and he's talking about The Thing, probably.
Right.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, and then Gary's saying "Silence of the Lambs."
It's not. I don't have a great report.
Silence of the Lambs. That's in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you my top 3. My top 3. Jim Lujan's top 3.
Let's do it.
So for sure, The Shining. That's my number 1. I can watch that a million times, and I have.
Oh yeah.
In the last 6 years, I watch it all the time. Number 2 used to be my number 1, but now it's a Scottie Pippen. It is Alien, the first Alien movie.
I got to go back and watch. I haven't seen that with like fresh eyes, so
that is a straight up horror movie right there.
Oh yeah,
Aliens is an action horror movie. Yeah. Alien is a straight up. That's classic sci-fi horror. And it's so well done. And then number 3, I saw about 3 years ago. And I was like, I'm in. And I feared this movie my whole life, and I never watched it. And I finally watched it. It was Rosemary's Baby.
Oh,
I haven't seen that one either.
It's so now that if you watch Rosemary's Baby and then watch Infinity Pool, you'll be like, okay, I get it, because it's how do you say it? It's a movie where almost nothing happens. Yeah, they build up, but when it does happen, you're like, it's just super creepy and atmospheric, and it's just really well made.
Yeah,
so those are my top 3.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs would be up there though too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. That's a good one. The Thing, haven't seen it. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. So with let's see, when it came to horror, like unconventional horror, like would that be like your favorite horror movies of all time, or just like that type of
no, those
genre?
are of all time. In fact, I'll throw another one in my top.
This is your Mount Rushmore.
My top 15. Well, this one would be like, if I did a top 15, it'd be 15. But Phantom of the Paradise.
I think I've heard that. I'm not sure.
That you have to see it.
I've seen so many movies. It's hard to remember.
It's very cheesy, but it's great. You got to see it. It's really like I said, cheesy 70s rock opera feel, but it's a horror. It's got. You
said rock opera. You got me there.
There you go. Yeah, well, Mr. Queen fan. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
In my top 5, though, rounding out my top 5, for sure, American Werewolf in London. Yeah, that's got to be
the transformation.
Yeah, and then, by the way, when it comes to werewolves versus vampires, completely team werewolf. I can obviously my shirt.
Yeah,
I can identify with werewolves. Vampires to me are scary. Like that, they're scarier than werewolves. Give it to them, and way more scary. But a werewolf to me is just more. They never were scary as a kid. Like when I watched The Wolfman, which is probably my top 10.
They're kind of badass.
Yeah, it was like he was kind of like an evil superhero in a way. I don't know, but but Dracula, which is my fit on my films of horror films, the Bela Lugosi's Dracula scared the heck out of me when I was a kid. And still to this day, one of the scariest. Only scarier vampire would be Nosferatu.
Oh, double Ronnie, ladies.
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
I know. Yeah.
Oh, and we've done the switcheroo.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Ronnie's clone.
So you said werewolves?
I love werewolves.
When I think of vampires, one of the reasons I fell in love with vampires, and I love vampires more than werewolves, would probably be just because of Lost Boys. I love Lost Boys.
Yeah.
The movie, the soundtrack, just everything great about that movie.
Vampires are scarier than werewolves to me. I give it to them. If it's a scary contest, which they're...
But then vampires have that sex appeal.
true, except for Nosferatu. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
that, to me, Nosferatu. Okay, here's another confession, you guys, and this is the place for me to confess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I've
absolutely.
never watched The Exorcist.
I've seen
I have
it
not.
once.
To me,
I will only ever see it once.
That's super, super scary, and I don't even want to see it. So my life's okay without seeing it.
I was still Christian-y when I saw it, and it's like
it's. I don't need to see it.
I always tell people, you know, I love horror movies, but there's some movies I would not watch, and that's definitely The Human Centipede. I think that's just disgusting.
Yeah, I totally got to agree with you on that. I saw Hostel 1, and I was like,
I lived that already. I don't need to go through that again. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was a human millipede. Sorry. But I'm going to go through my whole life and not see The Exorcist, and I'm okay with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You've accepted it. I got you.
Scariest movie I've ever seen, though?
Oh no.
Yes. No, Gary. Well, then, Gary, it's been good knowing you. I'm so glad we had this time together. Well, The Thing I will see. The Thing, it looks very interesting. And to be fair, I've seen the ending of The Thing. I've seen the beginning of it. I just haven't seen the whole thing.
You know, it's so funny. I've seen it in the past year, probably a good 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And every time I say in my mind, like I've seen all the videos of like who they think is who at which time and all that stuff. But every time I watch it, I sit down to like say, I'm going to isolate one character this entire movie. And I can never do it because I just get wrapped up in it. I get wrapped up in that movie like very, very few movies do. It's a perfect movie for me.
You know what? I never hear anybody talking about The Thing. And to me, it's one of the things that jumps out is the lighting and colors in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's really well lit. And the colors they choose and stuff like that are really good in that movie. Like when I think of it, I think of the fire off of the snow and the bluish background. It's just
everything is right.
Yeah, it's a really well-made movie.
Is just so
but,
right.
By the way, when you watch, and I know you will, Jason, when you watch Rosemary's Baby, go into it knowing. You ever like see like the perfect American cliche couple with their kids and everything, and you think, what if that dad was a serial killer or something like that? It's that kind of creepiness because everything in the movie is super corny, 1960s. You know,
perfect example. My Mother's a Serial Killer. What's that? I think that's the movie. Oh,
you're talking about Serial Mom?
Yeah, Serial Mom.
That's
great movie.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
that's such a good movie. Yeah, Serial Mom.
And that's an unconventional horror. You know,
I'll put that on my list. And that has to bump something out of the top 10.
All right.
I gotta say, if you want like current unconventional horror, season 1 of The Mandalorian, episode 6. So
Wait,
good.
Which is that?
It's the one on the spaceship where he goes to collect the bounty, but they double cross him at the end of
Bill Burr.
He hunts them all. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
It's so good. And it makes Mando this monster. And you almost sympathize for these characters because it's way later that you realize that he didn't kill them all.
Right.
He hunted them down like he was going to. And it was Friday the 13th in Star Wars. Yeah. But you got to root for Jason once. It was just such a well done episode, and it was 100% horror in like the last 2/3 of it. It was so good.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any horror movie that you would just not want to watch? Like okay, for me, it's The Exorcist. Like I get it, it's great, but I just don't want to. I don't need that.
You can pretty much lump any Eli Roth movie into that for me. Like I'm good.
There you go.
Anything that's like
it's not scary. It's gross. Like,
any torture porn, I'm out. Like anything, that's what it is. Any torture porn, like human centipede or anything like that. No,
I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, if I want to see torture porn, I'll just ask Gary for some more tapes. Send me. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's got his whole collection. So,
but there is one movie,
the banned version of Dinosaurs versus Marsbots.
There is one movie that's like really funny, just because they try to get away with having it scary, but they had some of the like funniest like makeup effects. And I know you guys probably won't know what it is, or maybe you do, but it's called Society.
I've heard of it. I have no idea what the movie's about.
Basically, it's these race of people that got infected with the parasite, and instead of dying, they kind of melted into it. So when they eat you, their skin is like warping into your skin, and it's becoming one. So they're kind of like just exhausting, like draining the nutrients from your body, where you become nothing but like goop. But the thing is that they could warp their bodies too. So literally, you see in one part where this guy adopted a son who wasn't infected because they wanted to do a scientific test, and literally where his asshole would be his face, and he's like, "Hey son, look, I'm finally a butthead."
Oh my god!
Because that's what you would say.
Yeah.
Just
and then
once, even if it was like agonizing.
Yeah.
You gotta get it out once.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just there's so many funny movies out there.
Oh, I thought of another one. I thought of another good one. Omega Man.
I saw. I used to see
Mm-hmm.
Omega Man. It used to come on like late on.
That's a
TNT.
horror movie.
Totally a horror movie.
Yeah, and I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The original Charlton Heston one, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy as hell.
Yeah, with the pale people.
Yeah. There's something about old 70s. I think the 70s to me was like the height of the horror that's the scariest and the most quality to me, because there's just something creepy about the 70s. The film grain or the look of it. It looks like you always look like you're seeing something you're not supposed to see. Whereas modern film are lit really well, and it looks like a really beautiful music video. 70s looks like you found film.
And pretty much.
In the 70s, it's like, look at how far we came before it all fell apart.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you missed the point so far that it's so unrelatable it becomes creepy. Like, that's what I dig about, especially movies like Omega Man. Man, because it's curveball horror, and it counts. I love writing curveball horror, like in 6 pages. I love writing it now. Like, it's stuck with me now. Yeah, because it's very brief. It's almost like writing poetry to like get it to where it matters enough, and then ending it like that.
Yeah. So and you could even have musicals that are horror. Like, of course, I'm a musical buff and everything. So the Rocky Horror Picture Show, hell, that's horror.
Yeah, I guess that has it in the word. Yeah. Gary has a good point there.
Oh yeah,
and
the low
if
budget.
Anyone knows snuff films? Just saying.
If it ain't got Gary's stamp of approval, it ain't right. It ain't real snuff.
That's right.
That's what they say anyway.
But I also think that television as a child, as a youth, had some of the scariest things on it. I want to share 2 stories with you real quick.
Yeah.
Not Josh Kemball's 2 stories. These are my 2 stories. First one is when I was 4 years old, my parents were going out somewhere. I don't know where. I just remember them getting ready to leave, and they had a novella on. My mom didn't even really watch novellas. For some reason, it was on Channel 34, and it was Spanish novella. And I remember they were getting ready to leave, and I was watching TV, and then there was a party on TV, like people in suits and stuff. And there was this couple, kind of like my parents. The guy kind of looked like my dad, and they were standing there. And my parents are leaving juxtaposition with this going on, and I looked at the TV. And out of nowhere, I mean, it's just a dinner party. Out of nowhere, the man goes and bites the woman's neck and starts. Oh, man. And he's a vampire, and the other people are vampires too, and they're closing in.
See,
it scared the hell out of me because my dad did that to my mom. No, it scared that scarred me as a kid, and I don't know if it's because my parents were leaving as that's happening, Plus, they left me in the house alone at 4 years old. No, I'm kidding. No, but that stuck in my mind, and that to me is what makes really scary horror. It's where you have a sense of ease and then something snaps you out of that and it scars your mind. The best horror movies usually have something like that. Sometimes they build it up and the anticipation is part of the fun. But to me, it's like those moments are like, whoa, they get you. So that's one story. The other one, and actually I don't want to hog the show. So if you have a story.
No, it's all right. Go ahead. I mean, you're the guest. I mean, that's why we want you on here.
So that was one. And to be honest, I probably forgot the second one. I'll think of it in a minute. I just traumatized myself, you guys.
Yo, can I tell two stories?
Yes, and I remembered mine, but you go first. I remember.
No, you go first.
Okay, I'll tell mine really quick.
Okay.
The other thing that scared me in the same way, I was probably 11 years old. It was Salem's Lot.
Oh my gosh, such a great movie.
Yes, and my mom had read
movie.
the book, and my mom read the book, and she was telling me about it, and it was like, really? And then the TV show came out, and I'm going to check it out. And I checked it out, and I think I turned the episode on where the spoiler alert, where the vampire like kills the family in the kitchen, in front of the little kid. And I was just like, it took me back to when I was 4 years old and I saw the vampire fight that lady at the party.
Yeah, such a great movie. And
I would never do that.
It was just great that they went with like the Nosferatu look to it. Just really good. And
so basically my parents, they just disregarded me and let me watch whatever I want.
Right.
Go for it, Jason. What were you going to say before you forget?
Okay, so this is my two stories. One is like a real life scary story, and one is also kind of a scary story. It starts scary. But before I was born, my parents kept this little gold earring my whole life. Like when I was little, my mom would always take it out of her little jewelry box and show it to me, and she would tell me. And I believed that it happened. It's one of those stories I believe. So she said that one day, Monica and my brother were in the living room, and what they said was John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John were in the living room ballroom dancing, and then they were gone, and my mom said that fan sparked and turned off, and right where they said John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John was a gold earring.
So like he left it there?
Yeah. And she kept it. And this is not the story that I'm going to tell, but that's not the only story that I have of something real materializing in one of my parents' houses. But the other story I was going to tell that's very, very off-center horror was, I remember when I was like 6 and my mom left my sister in charge of us. Like my parents would go to work and my sister would be in charge of us at home. And we used to have these pictures of my uncle that hung up, and he had a yellow sweater on. And the picture was always in the same spot. I remember exactly what it looked like and where it was. One day when my parents went to work, like my sister came upstairs screaming and crying and screaming and crying. And she was trying to call my mom at work, but my mom wouldn't answer the phone because now the picture of my uncle had a red sweater on. So this picture of my uncle has a red sweater on. Now,
you sure isn't one of these things where it's like the dress gold or black?
No, check this. No. So this felt like hours, but it was probably like 20 minutes. But I was 6. But I remember like the hysteria went from my sister being terrified to my other sister being terrified, and then my brother seeing it or talking to them and being terrified. And I remember being terrified, and I didn't really see it till late. Mm-hmm. My mom finally like gets on the phone and she rushes home and she comes in the house and she says, she's so mad. She looks at this picture and she picks up the other picture out of the floor. She had just stuck 1 year's picture in front of the other one. And he was at the age that he looked the same between the two pictures. But it was like we had switched dimensions for like a few minutes, felt like forever. Because my uncle's sweater definitely changed colors, but it was just 2 pictures where he was in the exact same pose.
Great story. I know what we're going to talk about next.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So you talked about like the colors of the shirt changing. Let's talk about an unconventional horror that some people get afraid, but people like I remember that, like the whole Mandela effect.
Oh, it's the best.
Like the Bernstein or the Berenstein Bears, like all that different stuff. Like
Jaws. Did you know that in Jaws there's no shark?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. It's
that's plot twist.
Yeah.
Oh man, Mandela effect.
What was it? Was it just an angry wife going after a husband that got caught fishing?
No, the only Mandela effect I can think of, it's not a horror movie, it's Rocky. Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. My cousin and I, for years, would joke, "I must break you," and then the other guy would go for it.
Yeah,
he doesn't say that.
Yeah,
in Rocky 4, he goes, "I must break you," and he hits his hands, and Rocky just looks at him. "Go for it" is from Rocky 3 when Clubber Lang says, "I'm gonna bust you up."
Oh yeah,
go for it. You know.
So they
in my mind,
together,
it was, "I must break you." Go for it. You know, it was always that for years.
It's the same tough guy moment. It totally is. I get it. Yep.
Yeah.
And, Frank said something that good, but you finish what you were saying.
And Frank, that was good.
Yeah. But Frank mentioned another horror, like unconventional horror, and it's a great musical too. Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh yeah. Steve Martin's brilliant.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So good in that.
But
and if you guys ever seen the alternate ending was amazing.
No, what's the alternate ending?
Literally, you got to see, Moranis's character die, and then you got to see the whole world being destroyed with giant Audreys that are like King Kong Godzilla size.
What?
Yeah, I'll send you guys the clip. It's like official. They originally were going to show that as the original, but yeah, they literally, that was going to be the original, but then they said, no, we don't like this ending. It has to be a happy ending. And you literally see, like I said, Godzilla size ones like ripping through movies, drive-through screens, and there's a bunch of them just destroying.
The original ending of Titanic was Jack doesn't fall down. A giant UFO comes up out of the water and lifts them up, and then it's a whole nother movie.
I've actually seen that. If you got it on VHS, it's on the extended version.
Right.
Yes. UFOs. I love UFOs, and I'm looking forward to Jordan Peele's Nope that's going to come out.
Yes, totally.
Me
too.
So,
that looks really fun.
Yeah.
And I know, like, the next question I'm going to ask, you said a lot of your family members, they're big into horror and stuff like that, and you're not like much of a slasher fan, but if there was a slasher from the 80s that you'd go with, like who you think is like the most appealing and like interesting to you, who would that be?
I have to say I have a fondness for Leatherface.
Okay.
Because that's just a big, scary guy.
That's really scary. And it could happen.
Yeah.
It could, like, Leatherface could totally be real somewhere.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He probably works at like a Walmart somewhere in, deep Michigan. So I don't know.
I was going to say, don't say Florida, because I work at Walmart.
Or Florida.
Yeah.
You probably could write some good horror stories working at Florida at a Walmart.
Oh my God.
Or at least some good Jim Lujan stories. I'm going to pick your brain later on. So we'll go with that.
Trust me.
Retail horror, it totally writes itself.
Oh my God.
Let's look at this. All right. Out of the 80s slashers, if you had to have a Mount Rushmore, I think I know. Tell me if I'm off. Of course you're going to have Freddy Krueger.
I'm a big Freddy Krueger fan. It's the first horror movie I've seen.
Yeah, of course you're going to have Jason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course you're going to have Michael Myers.
That's awesome, Gary.
Yeah.
And then I would say Leatherface. But some people would kick Leatherface or Mike Myers off and put Pinhead or whatever his name is.
No,
but he's not really a slasher.
I would put Leatherface,
So would that be an accurate Mount Rushmore?
I would say that.
For 80s?
Yeah, most people
for
they might
80s,
take it.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it for what I've seen.
Yeah. Because people could fight. People could fight. It's like, no, Chucky has to go up there. But I'm like, yeah, but that's a hit and miss for a lot of people.
In one of their nostrils.
right?
And I got to say, I've never seen any of those Mount Rushmore movies. I've not seen one of them. So. Yeah. I've never seen any Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Oh man,
Freddy on Nightmare on Elm Street 1 was totally scary. Like he was barely witty. He was like a really scary dude. That was like a very good. I would say that was a slasher, but it was very scary.
I'm probably more into 1970 horror movies. I think
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the next person coming on the show next week, he wrote a comic kind of like around the 60s and 70s. So he's a big, like, you know, The Blob. You have like other horror movies where you see like a giant like tarantula or bugs, or even, I can't remember the movie, but there was a monster movie where giant rabbits were killing people. I mean, everybody has their preference of horror, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Do you have a favorite, personal favorite? You don't have to say it's the best, but your own personal favorite werewolf and favorite vampire character, single character.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'll give you mine first.
Yeah, go ahead.
My personal favorite werewolf is the Wolfman, the Lon Chaney.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That's my personal favorite werewolf, Wolfman. And my favorite Dracula, or favorite vampire. I'm not even going to say Bela Lugosi. I'm going to say Nosferatu, the old creepy Nosferatu, because that's some serious stuff right there.
Yeah.
Give me a werewolf. Give me a werewolf.
See, I would definitely say the Wolfman with Chaney. I mean, just that is original, and just to realize how creepy that werewolf looked for that time period still stands the test of time. You know, just amazing how the makeup looked back then and how creepy he was able to get it across.
I wonder if that's on YouTube.
I don't know, probably is. And then vampire? Oh my God. I'll have to come back to that.
It's hard to beat Bela Lugosi. He's kind of the Michael Jordan of vampires.
Yeah.
There's one face you see with vampires, and it's his. And I guess that's when you nailed it. So yeah, but in all honesty, I don't think I have. I wouldn't say like I'm aware of them, but I don't. Those aren't my type of. It's not my type of horror for what I've seen so far. So I don't really dive into. For the time that I've watched horror, I haven't dived into really werewolves or vampires enough to like. Really...
You know what I like about werewolves?
Oh, you know what? Christopher Lee.
Oh, that's scary. That's really scary.
Yeah.
That was a weird era. Gary Oldman destroyed in Dracula. I will agree. Gary Oldman's a great actor, but not my favorite Dracula. The thing I like about werewolves is if you're killed by a werewolf, you're most likely out in the woods at night. And if you're out in the woods at night, you're kind of looking to get killed by a werewolf. So whereas with Draculas and vampires, they come into your house, you know, they're like home invaders, you know, so that's a little, you're trying to be home safe with the windows closed and everything. And somehow they get in and cool.
I'm surprised no one in the chats was making like a comment of Dracula Dead and loving it.
I do enjoy.
That was a funny movie. Enjoyed that movie.
Yes. Gary says that Tom Cruise is the greatest vampire because he's hot and he's the same. He's the same height as me. It says. So I agree, Gary. That's pretty good. Good observation. Oh no, he says Tom Cruise was great as Lestat. You're right, Gary. And actually, Interview with the Vampire is a very good movie.
Oh yes, it was.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God,
it was one of those.
It's actually really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you.
A lot of.
I think
Brad Pitt was my favorite part of that movie.
Yeah, he's great in it too. They're both great. I thought it was a good movie. But I'm going to ask you this question. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you: what are your thoughts on the vampires of Twilight?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I don't like them.
The story is strong for what it is.
I'll put it this way: I don't like the whole glowing, but when you get into their powers, I thought that was cool. Like literally, like how each vampire has like a different set of powers and different for each one. So, but overall, I just not a fan. You know,
we all write to our crowds. You know,
my favorite vampires are the ones like you see in Lost Boys, just creepy as hell.
That's a good movie. That's a great movie. Yeah. I'm glad I took down my Twilight posters. Thank God. No, you know what? I'm probably one of the only.
So are you team Edward or are you team whatever the other guy is?
Jacob.
Oh,
Jacob.
I'm totally on the doggy team on that one. I got to go with the werewolf.
You are. Yeah,
always bet on werewolves.
When he watches the movie, he has to have his shirt off.
I'm jealous of werewolf because I don't have any hair on my chest. So.
You know, it's totally the same. It's True Blood. It's PG-13 True Blood.
Yeah,
it really is.
I'm one of the few of my crowd that I know that's not offended by Twilight. I have a really good friend, and by the way, please write this guy's name down. You gotta have him on the show. He's a comic book creator that specializes in horror. His name's Geo Braun.
Okay, Geo Braun. Yeah, send me a link.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. For those of you out there, go check out GeoBrawn. Totally does horror, sexy ladies. He's into the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
But he is perturbed by the glowing vampires of Twilight.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you get him started. To me, it doesn't bug me at all. But again, it's because I'm not that much into horror.
Mm-hmm.
So it never really bothered me. I thought, oh, this looks like a romantic novel with vampires and werewolves. And I thought the werewolves were actually pretty cool in Twilight. I thought the way they did them were pretty cool, but you know, not quite. Hey, has there ever been a werewolf parody movie? Like, you know how they have Dracula Dead and Loving It?
Yes, they. Let's see. It wasn't like a male, but what? I can't remember the name of the movie on the top of my head, but I know a mother was trying to find, you know, a way to spice up her life because her husband was like being boring in the bedroom, and she got bit by a werewolf. So she was slowly turning into a werewolf. I'll have to look it up.
It's probably called Wolf Mom.
I think so. Or My Mother's a Werewolf.
I made that up, but that sounds like a role. No, not Teen Wolf.
Wolf Mom.
Wolf Mom. Wolf Mom 2. Even mommier. So,
yeah,
she's a wolf.
Mom, it's 1989. My mom's a werewolf.
Oh no! Yeah, okay, my mom's a werewolf.
Hold on,
okay.
I like
it's a horror comedy.
Business is going.
You like the wolf?
Let's unpack it. Yeah.
Okay,
that nailed it. That was good.
That's what they got to call the remake. Wolf.
Yes, I love it. Yep, I'm into it.
Yes.
So. Yeah.
But
so at some parts she's shaving her leg and everything, trying to get away from all the hair.
No.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, I've seen it. When I've gone to Blockbuster, all I would look for is like cheesy horror movies, just because back then all the like covers to the VHS boxes were cool and amazing. I'm like, oh wow, I got to see that. I don't care what it is, I got to watch it.
I can't wait.
So I will say this: for all of the negativity of the internet just made itself worthwhile because the fact that you were able to find My Mother is a Werewolf that quickly.
Yeah, 1989. Yeah.
Thank you, reptilians. Thank you,
right?
Internet.
Yeah, and like we talked, like when we were talking about like last week with the comedy, like another set of they done horror movies, but as a kid, you know, I watched the cartoon and then I went to watch the movies, and you could definitely say the Toxic Crusader has some horror elements into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But that's like that was the 80s and 90s. They would make cartoons out of stuff that kids should not be watching, and then it's like, hey mom, there's a live action of this, and then they watch it like, what the hell?
You know what movie? Oh, I got another one. I got two actually. Okay. The first one ruled my school in 5th grade, but nobody saw it. Everybody pretended like they saw it, but they didn't. It was Scanners.
Oh my God, Scanners!
With the head exploding.
I do remember seeing that. Yeah, that was pretty intense.
All the kids.
The first one was great. I didn't like the sequels, not as much.
Never saw it. But okay. So Scanners. As kids, everyone saw the commercial or the heads exploding.
Yeah,
but nobody saw the film. Like I couldn't find anybody that actually saw it.
The ending fight scene was amazing.
Really, I still haven't seen Scanners.
Oh my god!
I'm going to give you one that scared the bejesus out of me as a kid, and this is another one. This is one that stuck with me, and I've never seen the sequels, but the original Phantasm.
Oh,
I don't think I've seen
that was scary. No. Phantasm. That's a horror movie right there. Phantasm.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, mm-hmm. The first one. I've never seen the sequels. Are you familiar, Jason, with what Phantasm is? It's the one that has
familiar
the ball,
with what it is. Yeah,
the little blade that comes out, and they're hanging around a mausoleum.
Because the main villain, he's named the Tall Man. Mm-hmm.
Phantasm sounds, from what I hear, a lot like the same vibe as Prince of Darkness.
Because
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, because Phantasm's. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ronnie. My bad. No.
Go ahead. I was gonna say Phantasm. Yeah, the main villain is called the Tall Man, and he had these floating balls that were like chrome or silver. They would drill into your head, and then your blood will start oozing out of the other side. But it's one of those horror movies and one of those villains like Tall Man that he doesn't get enough appreciation. But it's just a really great series, and I recommend people to watch it.
Jason, there were two main villains in the film. One was named Fan, and one was named Tasm. And they used to argue back and forth, and then they started throwing balls with knives.
And then it went rated R and put in gasm. No.
Yes, and I was gonna make a joke about balls and stuff, but I'm not gonna.
Creepy dentist movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So Phantasm, that just popped in my head. No pun intended. But Phantasm, I remember as a kid, that was truly scary. The Exorcist, again, going back to that, was off limits. I wouldn't even. I mean, even my friends who pretended to be brave with movies, none of them wanted to watch The Exorcist.
Well, it's one of those movies.
That's got to be king of the scary movies, and I haven't even seen it.
I mean, it's one of those movies that literally people left the movie theater because it was that bad.
Yeah.
But they did such a great job on that. Like, not just creating like the special effects, but like the whole demon around it. Like, they literally built this thing, making where it seemed like it was actually a idol god that they found in a cave. So
I wonder which
I gotta give
had
two
more
movies.
people.
Oh, sorry, Jim.
Which movie had more people leave the theater? The Exorcist or Mariah Carey's Glitter? I think it's got to be close.
It's gotta be close, neck and neck.
Yeah.
All right, I can't not give two horror movies their props if we're talking about horror movies. One is I forgot the two now. Come on. I said I gotta talk about these. There's two movies.
What's the first one?
The first one is gotta be Get Out.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my kind of horror movie.
Unconventional.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Get Out is perfectly intense.
That's my kind of horror movie. Yeah.
And it hits every checkpoint that it tries to hit. It nails perfectly.
And when they have gore in it, it's surprising gore. It's not like the whole thing's not a bloodbath. It's just it shocks you. So Get Out.
Really look, Gary hasn't seen Get Out. Now we have something on top of him.
Gary,
exactly.
What?
Gary.
Now Gary can get out. No.
Yeah.
Get out, Gary.
Gary, that's enough for you. You're out of here, buddy.
No, but especially
to be fair, Gary has seen Get Smart twice.
Yeah.
Totally a Gary movie.
No, but Get Out, definitely. I'm happy to see more horror movies like that come in because let's face it, horror doesn't have to be like blood and gore. Like, actually have suspenseful stuff where it doesn't have to be like all that blood and gore up in your face.
Yeah.
And the other one.
What's the other one?
Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah, that's creepy too.
Mm-hmm.
My wife got sick in the theater watching that because of the motion sickness.
It had that was it.
It didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me either.
And I really enjoyed it because I know people get mad because nothing happens, but that's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the anticipation of like the suspense of something, and then at the very end something kind of happens.
Here's what I left the movie thinking, because I didn't understand found footage horror at the time. There was a good solid 2 weeks that I was sure that it was real. I was sure it was. And this was my scary thought. Okay, there's the supernatural stuff. And if you grew up down south southern Jehovah's Witness like I did, that's the bad guy horror. So there's that's really, really scary. But there's also the fact that if nothing happened, 3 people went in the woods and got killed. And nobody will ever understand that they all just lost their minds together. Either possibility is very scary.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it is.
It's so good.
It's a pretty cool.
Like, yeah, sure. You might watch it now and it's like, but it was so good for its time. It was so good. And I still, like, to this day, full disclosure, I have a hard time watching it all the way through still, because once your mind starts to drift and you learn how to create, you start to fill in a lot of the blanks where nothing happens. Yeah. And that, like, it ramps up the anxiety even more, because
especially if you're camping in the woods.
Totally. I live in Maine. Like, there's a lot of times where you could your car could break down and nobody might ever know anything other than finding your car on the side of the road, because there's a lot of places there you can very easily get in the middle of nowhere, and it's very dark. When it's winter or it's nighttime, it's very, very dark.
Oh yeah.
You never know what you could get into. And what if it is something supernatural? What if you do encounter a true witch? Because there's no pointy hats. The bad ones, there's no pointy hats. Like, it's really scary.
Yeah.
But then what if it's just an axe murderer?
Wait, which pointy hats? Because they're both bad.
But that's like cartoony
bad. A black pointy hat, you're not too good. If you have a white pointy hat, you're definitely not good.
But that's the exact realities. I totally get it, and I didn't even equate that. But you're absolutely right.
Are there any good pointy hats? That's what we need to know.
We've established this now.
I think we can all agree on this. There's no good pointy hats. No. By the way, I got to recognize greatness. About 7 comments up, Frank Salazar gave my Wolf Mother title. That's the winner right there.
Look at it.
Wolf
it
Milk.
looks like
that
money.
is the
winner.
I got to do a fake poster for that.
It's got to happen.
That's such a good name, Frank. Wow. Wolf Milk. Good Lord. Funny. Oh my God.
Wow.
Thank you, Internet. Thank you.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Man.
What if nobody's ever put those 2 words together before you did?
Well, I had Ronnie, I did have a question. I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
I remember from earlier. I'm going to ask you guys, because you guys will be the authorities. Has there ever been a kung fu horror movie?
Oh my gosh.
That's the question. And for our viewers out there, you can participate too.
I wrote a kung fu comic that has a lot of horror elements in it, called Drifter. In the minis, it was our last 6-part, and it was really fun. As a kid, I was more afraid of, like, the 5 deadly venoms, where it got gore, like the fights got gory. Where I think it was the 5 deadly venoms, where they had all the, like, the powers of nature that the guy had to go against. That was like the scarier version of the kung fu horrors that I saw.
Are you guys familiar with Giant Robot? Johnny Sacco, Giant Robot?
It sounds familiar. I mean, I love horror movies.
He had a wristwatch, and he could talk, in this giant robot would. It was like a Japanese television show from like 1967. Well, I remember as a little kid, they would play the reruns, and as a little kid, one of the episodes is the little kid and this like agent, the CIA, their version of the CIA or whatever, they had like space suits on. They were running through a house, and they were getting surrounded by vampire zombies. It scared the hell out of me, because, again, I didn't expect that. I'm like, where are these vampires coming from? But that's the closest they had a little tinge of kung fu in that, but not really.
I'm gonna name one horror movie, but it's a comedy. but it does have horror elements.
Okay.
And it's action too. Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good one. That's a good call.
One.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. That's one of my favorite movies.
I mean, it has monsters in it. It has like sorcery. As a little kid, you could kind of like get scared from that.
Totally.
How about
eye monster with all the eyeballs all over?
Oh, yeah.
How about
totally creepy.
Are there any UFO comic books with science fiction elements in them that have horror in them? I can't think of any. Like Mars bots fighting,
right?
Like fighting dinosaurs or something.
Right.
And I'm not just blowing smoke. That's totally my kind of horror too.
Yeah, we put it as a 10 out of 10 on the show.
Yes, and if you want to buy your own copy of it,
97 is the best one, y'all.
Watch this, guys. Okay, I'm going to turn to the last page and show you the spoilers. No, I wouldn't do that.
97 is the best one.
Yeah,
it's really good, and it is, whether he'll ever admit or not, that this is a horror comic book because it's very scary.
They both are. They both are really scary.
Really well done, and it sucks you in because it's done very realistically, and then it gets fantastic, and then it just gets scary.
Totally.
And 90, you know what? I like 97. The first one was, well, no, this one's pretty scary. I was going to say the first one's scarier. Maybe because the first one is the first one that I read, and I had no idea what to expect. This one, this one's pretty bad. It's scary.
The first one is like your tenderizer. It prepared. You do your best if you read 75 before 97 because they're two different stories, but they're in the same world enough that it's good to see things in succession.
If only that creator would create digital versions of these so the world could read them. Mm-hmm. It's such a hard thing. But I do have a suggestion for you guys. I think I mentioned this to you earlier, Ronnie. I get no money from this. This is done out of my own love. I just picked up a book. I got it a few days ago, and I read it in one sitting. It is Ben Mara's Disciples.
Whoa!
It's
I definitely got to check that out.
So good. Here, I won't ruin it for you, but I'll just show you what it looks like inside. But it's
looks great.
Ben Mara does this really over the top style of very basic, like it looks like a high schooler sometimes drawing action. But in this one, he tones it down a little bit, but it's still Ben Mara, and the storytelling's so well done. It is straight up horror. It is way more horror than I thought it was going to be. It is a classic horror story.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I suggest. Yeah, but those are the two books that I've been reading lately. 1997 and Disciples.
Two solid choices.
Yeah.
Solid choices.
Definitely got to check those out. Those are my two suggestions. Okay. And if you mention Crimson Owl Comics, they'll give you nothing.
Right. And with me, if you guys watched last week with, the two creators there where they joined forces to bring Latex Avenger and Halloween Man.
Oh, man. I hate that show.
Their Indiegogo just launched yesterday, and I know Gary's seen this. I know Jason's seen this, but I did fan art for them, and because they had a contest. So, if I get the variant cover spot, that'd be awesome. If not, I really enjoyed it, working on this because it was a lot of detail that I put into it, but it was just a lot of fun.
Do you have anything you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm sharing it right now.
All right. I would like to see
Look
this.
at that. So awesome.
Wait a minute. Is that Woof MILF?
But yeah, it was just really fun creating this because when I was thinking the latex Halloween Man meets Latex Avenger, I always think, these guys are got to prove something. They got to think who has the biggest, ego, and just it was a great piece to work on.
From artist to artist, I know there's got to be an Easter egg in this somewhere. Where is it? Where's the little hidden Easter egg?
Right?
Secret message.
Right?
Ronnie, I want you to know there's 3 times that I've taken the high road that I really wanted to I had some really witty jokes, but I was trying to be good.
Yeah.
Well, he was going to say he sees 2 Easter eggs.
Nailed it.
Right.
I had to say it.
I thought he was going to say jack-o'-lanterns, but you know.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
very cool.
You know.
Very good. Very good
Thank
colors too. Wow. And that's coming out in their book, in their the one that
they're going to have in their book they're going to have like a bunch of fan art in there, but the number 1 pick is going to be a variant cover. So fingers crossed that
how does one find, besides going back to the last episode, how do we find the Indiegogo for them?
I actually have it in the description for their for that video. And so yeah, that's awesome. But nice. Yeah, guys, again, I'm hoping to get episode 4 out for A Vengeful Heart. Go on Tapas, check it out if you haven't read it. I appreciate all the love and appreciation that I get doing that stuff because, I love doing it. And it's not easy sometimes to be able to do it if everybody knows what's going on. So, but I'm happy that I'm able to. That's the best time to create, is when creating is therapy. Yeah. It's the best therapy. It's a good thing to be addicted to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Creating is.
I'm very grateful to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
Because you get to remember, even if it's just for you. Like I found some things that I wrote this morning before I went to work that I forgot existed.
Yeah, Jason, your work is amazing.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
And it's awesome, guys. Like, just go subscribe to Jim here. I mean, a lot of his animations he has up free to watch on YouTube. Like, I have done animation, I've done voice acting, to know that it is not easy work, especially if you're doing a lot of it by yourself. Like having to work with voice actors and having to okay, I like the way you said this, but can you say it this way a little bit? And yeah, it's a lot of work. So hats off to you, Jim, for
thank you. I'm the John Carpenter of animation.
Right?
I'm into it.
Because he does his soundtracks, right?
Yeah. That's awesome.
So do I.
Yeah, he makes soundtracks. There you go, guys. I mean,
you got to set the mood. Only you know the mood that you want to set 100%. That's well played. That's awesome.
Oh, I can't see the comments.
If Gary Hodges did the soundtrack to Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots, what would it sound like? Probably. I'm thinking like the Spice Girls. Probably that, but like a scary spice.
No, can you imagine hearing "If You Want to Be My Lover" in Dinosaurs versus Mars Bot 75 when you start with the hole in the side of the trailer?
Yes.
You go through this totally bizarre scene.
Can
where
you
the guy
imagine
pretty much ends up exploding at the end?
Hearing that song slowed down to like 33 and a third, really
I always
slow.
say it. Like if he ever carried this comic into the 80s, you could have just played Walk the Dinosaur. Everybody get up on the floor. Everybody.
He's going to be so mad that he's going to be so pissed that I tell you this, but I'm going to tell you guys.
I'm so into this, Gary.
Gary told me he's going to have DVSM 1989, and the lead character in it is going to be Stephen Urkel.
Oh. So
I'm sorry I broke it here, but it's just a thing. Stephen Urkel, and I think the dinosaurs are going to be those. Remember that sitcom with the puppet dinosaurs?
The dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Not the mama.
I think it's going to be
Not
that
the
one.
Mama. That's what they should change their name to. All the dinosaurs should be Not the Mama.
So I can't.
Speaking voice actors, the same voice. I know. Like I said, I'm a nerd for horror. Like besides horror voice actors, the same puppeteer who did the voice for the baby from the dinosaurs is actually the original voice actor and puppeteer for Elmo. And if you listen to it, almost exact same voice.
Elmo?
Yeah.
Elmo, like Elmo's World.
Yeah, the original character, the original puppeteer that made Elmo's voice is the same person who did the voice for the dinosaurs for the
I
baby.
didn't know that. And that's the guy they did a documentary
I
on.
hated that baby dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that baby dinosaur.
Yeah, because if you really listen to the voice, like it's kind of similar in ways, but different.
Like, I think the ending to Dinosaurs is very, very sad.
And
but part of me every single time when I think about the baby dinosaur, I'm like,
what happens at the end of Dinosaurs?
They freeze. The Ice Age.
The Ice Age.
The last episode is their window with like snow and ice like surrounding them. The news it starts. You start to see in the last few episodes like things
and that's
exploding.
That's 80s and 90s unconventional horror for TV kids shows.
Wow, that's traumatic.
So dark. It's so dark.
That's super traumatic.
Yeah.
That's like having Mr. Rogers have like a horrible train wreck on his, on his set.
Okay, I was going to say it. Imagine a car driving through his house, like when he's changing his slippers. Wow. Like that's super grim, but like,
well, that's pretty grim.
Yeah, sorry,
or when he opens his thing to get his sneakers, a human hand is like, and he has to put it back. He sticks it back real fast.
He puts it in his sweater and like pretends it's his hand. So you really can't see.
And it's a young hand.
Right.
Oh,
man!
Yikes! Now we're talking. Yikes!
You can have that, Ronnie. You can run with that. You can take that story.
Now we have to get together and do a trilogy of like horror Mr. Rogers stories.
Oh, poor Mr. Rogers.
An anthology of Mr. Roger horror stories.
I can't. It'd have to be one of these chick tracks. So.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody in the chats.
All right. Yeah,
Jim,
this was fun.
Thank you for coming on.
Guys. Thank you.
This was fun. Like I said, we've always been in the chats and we've always had, friends with everybody. We never had you on the show, but glad that we were able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh my God. It's like, this to me.
And when you're ready and when your horror show, your next horror animation comes out, come back on.
Absolutely. 100%.
Or before. Like
this show, this episode to me has been like, and Gary will appreciate this.
Yeah. And I don't know how to go about doing it, but if there was a way that I'll have to see that you could come on the show and we could watch it live and tell you what we thought about it, that'd be even better.
Maybe you watch it and then you like it first and then tell me what you think.
Right?
No, this episode and being on this show to me is like going to a Journey concert. I'm doing this for Gary because he likes Journey too.
Yeah. The original Journey, not the new guy.
We started riffing on movies and then one after another, and then Phantasm comes out, and and it's like I didn't even mention Poltergeist, and I didn't. It's like there's all these different movies, and I realized, wow, there's a lot of horror movies I like. Like I identify with the horror genre more than I thought, and it's kind of like at a Journey concert, you're like, okay, I like that song. Oh, I like that one too. And pretty soon you're 9 songs deep. You're like, okay.
And then you find a stranger that has your same playlist, like that is into the same songs the same way you are. And it's Gary standing on his chair with glow sticks. And that's how we do it. Awesome. This was fun, though. Thanks for coming on. It was. Yeah. Again, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. We'll see y'all next week. Everybody have a good weekend. Bye. Take care, y'all. Good night.